joint right here is going out to everybody getting money. I mean the real cream.
That was your last message.
Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all.
What's going on, guys? It's your host with the most, DJ ZipLock, and you're tuned into the art of hip hop. For today's episode, we're going to be discussing number 8 on my all-time top 10 rap album list. So for number 8, we have to go way back, all the way to 2003, 17 years ago. So in 2003, I was 5 years old, right? 5 years old. Picture me, little 5-year-old chubby kid. 5 years old, I walked into a Circuit City by myself. My mom went to a store that was like right next to the Circuit City. At times, times were a little safer. So, you can go to one store and you might go to another store and no one's going to take you. It's a lot safer. So, I walked into a Circuit City and I see this album on the shelf. New releases, top release or something like that along those lines. It was 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Tryin', studio debut album. I picked it up. And at that time, they had like a station where you could listen to music and preview the songs before you buy them. In case you didn't like what you bought, at least you had a chance to test it out. So I went there and I heard the songs. I fell in love with the album. I had to buy it. I was 5 years old. For those of you who don't know, 50 Cent isn't, he doesn't make music for kids. He makes hardcore gangster rap, murdering, shooting people, drug dealing, that type of stuff. To put in more context, the album itself in the corner has a sticker that says parental advisory, explicit content. So as a minor being 5 years old, I'm not allowed to buy this without an adult with me or an adult buying it for me. So I went to the cashier, I tried to buy it, they said, yo, where's your parents? You can't buy this. You need to have an adult with you. You're 5 years old, you can't buy this. So I said, okay, cool, I'll go get my mom. Knowing my mom wasn't in the store, I tried to go to self-checkout. Self-checkout, they had the person there that saw me buying it, there was your parent. And then they called the managers over because that's the second time they told me I couldn't buy it. They called the managers over. I ended up causing like this big scene and crying and throwing a fit because I wanted this album. So they ended up giving in, I guess, just to get me out the store. So I bought the album. I'd never told my mom about it. When I bought it, I put it in this jacket that I was wearing. It's actually a Sean John jacket. I put it in there. And I went to the store where she was at. I found her and we went home. I had a SpongeBob CD player that I got for Christmas, and I would take my SpongeBob CD player to school every day. But my mom would only let me listen to CDs that were kid-friendly. So I would take the CD, the 50 Cent CD that I had, and I would put it in the case of the other CD. It was like Kids Bop. I would put that CD in that case, and then I would show my mom, oh, look, Mom, I'm going to listen to this Kids Bop that you bought me. I love it so much. When really it was 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Tryin'. So I would take it to school, and before school started, we would have like in the recess, the playground area, we would have to like wait in line, and then we would walk in like single-filedly all into our class until like your class was called. We would just wait out there. So I had my headphones in, I had my SpongeBob CD player, and I was just listening to music. It got to the point where I knew every song word for word in order, whichever song you could tell me, oh, what song number 6 is, and I would tell you, and I knew it word for word. Like I'd listen to this religiously. It got to the point where I would just listen to it in my head without really having to hear the songs. I would just be in class doing my work and I'll be rapping along to the songs. And like I said, 50 Cent doesn't make music for kids. It's explicit content. So the teacher heard me one day rapping Many Men. For those of you who don't know that song, it's basically talking about how many men want 50 Cent dead, wish death upon him, blood in his eyes, and he can't see. He's trying to be destined what he's trying to be. So like, that song's not for kids. I was rapping, I wasn't even censoring myself, I was saying cuss words and everything. Teacher heard me, she called me to her desk, then she asked me what I was singing, where'd I hear that from, and I kind of panicked and I said, I have the CD, I have a 50 Cent CD. So she said, well, where is it? And I said, it's in my locker. She wanted it from me, she wanted to take it from me. Legally, I don't think they're allowed to like take it and not give it back. So they took it and went to the principal's office, and then there they gave it to my mom. And my mom like hid it from me, but I found it back. I found it a couple days later. I found it, and so I had to go to like all these like conference meetings and teaching me where and when I can't say bad words and the effects that it has if I talk with these like bad words and people hear me and they get offended and all this and that. And I wasn't really having none of it. But This was my first rap CD that I ever bought, and it's close to my heart. I cherish this album. I still have it to this day. So, you know, this is my favorite rap CD of all time, but it's only number 8 on the all-time greatest for me. But let me give you a little background on the album. So, like I said, it was released in 2003, February 6th to be exact. It was released by Shady Records. And after signing with Eminem, 50 Cent also worked heavily with Dr. Dre. 50 Cent and Dr. J actually worked really hard on this album. I would say they worked, you know, hand in hand. Dr. J produced a lot of tracks on this album. So let me give you a little bit about 50 Cent. 50 Cent's from New York. And this album contains a lot of guest appearances. For being a studio debut, it has a lot of guest appearances, a lot of big names. It has Eminem on it, but then again, Eminem also signed 50 Cent to Shady Records. They also have Young Buck, and you also have the late Nate Dogg. And you also have features from the G-Unit co-members. And G-Unit was like a rap group that 50 Cent had prior to being signed, but they just weren't as big as 50 Cent at the time, and 50 Cent was the only one to get signed to Shady Records. But you had Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo. And 50 Cent actually had a deal prior to this one, but nothing actually came out. They didn't release any music. He had a whole bunch of mixtapes, but they didn't release an album because 50 Cent, when he started rapping, would destroy people. He wouldn't rap and make songs. He would rap and make diss tracks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up How to Rob by 50 Cent. He goes and everybody that's in New York, around the area that he's from, everybody that's trying to be a rapper, or everybody who's already a rapper in the game, he destroys everybody. He talks the most disrespect that you could do in a song. It's not just dedicated to one song or one person. It's like a 4 or 5 minute song about different rappers, and he just hits them with disrespect after disrespect. So a lot of people weren't really big fans of 50 Cent. He actually got shot 9 times, and people believe that he got shot because of people that he disrespected in the song. But you know, that's always a he said, she said type thing. There's no real evidence, but people know the streets are talking. So this record itself was actually released advanced, a week in advance. It got leaked, but it still debuted number 1 on the Billboard Top 200, selling over 87,000 copies, or 872,000 copies, sorry about that, in the first week. I was one of them. And the album had songs like In the Club, 21 Questions, PIMP, and those released magic. Or when those were released, it was magic, because those were breaking records, sale records, climbing up the charts. He had Many Men on there. If you know 50 Cent, people know, they might think, oh, Candy Shop. But this is probably his greatest album he's ever put out. He's won awards on it. You know, it's just a great album, start to finish. The style of music that he has, you know, his wordplay, his beats, everything that, you know, you look into a good album, this has. It has all the check boxes. Or it checks all the boxes. In total, the album's like an hour long, you know. If you have a long drive, you can listen to it without even skipping a song and you'll be happy. So this is my favorite 50 Cent album. It's probably one of the only 50 Cent albums that I actually do listen to this day. Like I said, I still have it. It's somewhere in my music collection. But with all that being said, that's why I put this at number 8. So, you know, if you haven't heard it, or you know haven't heard it in a while, you know, I highly recommend going back and looking at it now, especially being older. Like me, when I first heard it when I was 5, and then when I heard it now being 21, I could see why they didn't want me listening to it. I understand why I had to go to those counseling meetings now. But with all that being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch y'all next week where we discuss number 7. You know, until then, long live and prosper. Be safe.